It started with a dusty box, tucked deep in an attic that hadn't been opened in over 20 years. Inside it, among yellowing newspapers and forgotten VHS tapes, was a photo that stopped Daniel's heart cold. It was his wife, Elena. Her face unmistakable, frozen in a candid moment. A faint smile. Wind tousling her hair. But the photo was dated 1992, a full decade before they ever met. And she hadn't aged a day. Daniel knew what this meant, or he thought he did. But the truth would turn his world inside out. Before we dive into this unbelievable story, make sure to hit subscribe, like, and drop a comment letting us know where you're watching from. And stick around, because what Daniel discovers next will shake everything you think you know about time, love, and memory. This is Edgeline Stories, where real life writes the most unforgettable scripts. Ethan couldn't let it go. Every time he passed that photo on the hallway table, something gnawed at his insides. Not just confusion, but a growing fear that his reality wasn't as solid as he once believed. That single Polaroid was like a pinhole tear in the fabric of his life, and he was falling through it. He took the photo to a friend who worked at the university lab, specializing in imaging and forensic timelines. The results made his stomach churn. The chemicals used in this film were discontinued in the late 80s, the text said. That photo is at least 30 years old. It hasn't been doctored. And get this, it's degrading exactly the way it should be for that time frame. Ethan's hands trembled. 30 years? That would make his wife barely a teenager when it was taken, except in the photo, she looked exactly as she did now. Not younger, not different, just timeless. That night, he sat across from her at dinner, trying not to stare too long, trying not to show the storm swirling behind his smile. But something shifted in her eyes. "Ethan," she said slowly, "what's wrong?" He wanted to lie, to push it off. Instead, he slid the photo across the table and watched all the color drain from her face. "Where did you find this?" Her voice was barely above a whisper. Not surprised, but afraid. "My dad's attic, in an old chest marked 1993. She stared at the photo like it was a ghost. "I thought it was lost," she said. "Years ago. I never thought it would show up again." Ethan blinked. "You remember this?" A long pause. "Yes." Her story unraveled slowly, like someone peeling back a wound. She said she remembered taking that photo, but not with him. And not in this timeline. "In a different life," she said. "Before you and I ever met in this one." Ethan thought she was joking, some strange metaphor or art project. But her eyes didn't blink. Didn't move. She told him she'd lived this life before. Not once, but many times. She remembered pieces of previous timelines, bits of memories that felt like déjà vu to most people, but to her, they were warnings, echoes, corrections. "I knew we'd meet again," she said. "I just didn't know when." "Why didn't you ever tell me?" Ethan whispered. She took a long breath. "Because every time I told you in the past, you didn't believe me. You left. Or worse, you died." Ethan's heart pounded like war drums in his chest. "And now we're at a fork again. And I don't know what happens next." That night, he couldn't sleep. The photo sat on the dresser, staring at him like a prophecy. His wife had always been warm, grounded, loving. But now he looked at her and saw 1,000 untold lives behind her eyes. Who was she? What else was she hiding? And why now, after all these years, was this truth unraveling? In the days that followed, Ethan became obsessed. He began digging into every photo his father had stored. Every journal, tape recording, document. Then he found something that froze his blood cold. A cassette tape, labeled only, "For Ethan. Do not open until you remember." The voice on the tape was his own. Older, rougher, shaken. "If you're hearing this," the tape said, then something cracked open. "You've seen the photo, and you're starting to remember." The voice explained things no one should know. It referenced his first dog, the time he broke his arm at 12, the secret hiding spot he'd built under the treehouse. "You don't believe me yet," the voice continued, "but you will. She's not the only one. You've been through this too. and you've always tried to change what happens next. The tape cut off suddenly. No click. No rewind. Just static. Ethan sat in the silence, heart racing. How could that voice be his? What was he trying to warn himself from? His wife began to change. Not in appearance, but in behavior. She started locking her office door, making late-night calls in hushed tones. Her laptop never left her side. Ethan's questions went unanswered. Until one night, he followed her. She drove to the outskirts of town, to a rundown cabin deep in the woods. Inside, through a crack in the window, he saw her meet an old man, someone he didn't recognize. They hugged like old friends, then exchanged something, a photograph. And on the back, Ethan saw the same handwriting from the cassette, his own. He stepped back from the window, breath ragged. Who was that man? Why was she hiding all of this? And most terrifying of all, what did she know that he didn't? He would confront her, but not tonight, because in the glove box of his car, under the flashlight, he found one final note tucked in an envelope. Don't ask her. Not yet, or you'll lose everything again. Was Ethan the only one living through repeating timelines? Or is this part of something far more dangerous? What would you do if you found a photo that proved your entire life might be a lie? Let us know in the comments. And if you thought this story was wild, wait until you hear about the man who received a letter from his future self warning him not to go to work. That story is coming next. So make sure you hit subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. This is Edgeline Stories, where real life writes the most unforgettable scripts.